guys? Hope everybody's having a good day so far. We're back here with an update for you. Just want to let you know beforehand that we are following all of YouTube's guidelines, and we do not promote cultivation or use of cannabis in any way, shape, or form in any state that it is not legal for you to do so. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So we're back here, week one, done with, in the books, day 7. Like I told you, I was going to make you guys an update. We are here. You can see how explosive that everything has grown in the last 7 days. So that 12 days of veg, really perfect timing, because if I would have went any longer, everything would have exploded. We're about 7 days in. We still got 14 days of stretch, guys, and we're already popped way above the first trellis there. You do see that I'm going to be able to move the trellis up on the second row just a little bit. But ideally, I don't want it any more than 6 inches above that second trellis where it is at right now. So what I'm hoping for is to just keep super cropping all of these here. I've been giving all these things pinches. The Skywalker just wants to stretch like crazy. The Oaksterdam, kind of more squat, kind of better internodal spacing. That's why it's a staple there. First time I've grown this in years, so you know, we're gonna see what happens. LA Gelato's perfect. The Mimosa Cross looks great, but everything's exploded as I said it would. 7 days, you know, things just went like crazy overnight. It seemed like the last 2 or 3 days they've been growing about 3 to 4 inches every day. So as soon as they started getting those nice dry backs, they've just really taken off and exploded. So I tend to ramble a lot, so I try to make myself a little bit of notes here to stay on track with you guys and not get sidetracked. So I did want to talk about the health of the plants and how great everything looks, and exactly how much they have stretched and why 12 days of veg was perfect. Other than that, let's go ahead and talk about our environment. So we're going into week 2 right now, and as you remember, week 1 was 82 degrees, and we wanted to keep our humidity anywhere between 60 to 75% in here. And it's been quite a bit of a challenge to do so, which is why I've had to install this small humidifier. I did order a much larger one. I usually don't have that problem in this room because it's kind of moist down here where I'm at in LA, and this year just hasn't been quite as good. It's been really dry in here. It's been struggling to stay at even 50% in here, and even with the humidifier, I'm still only getting to about 50, 55, 58%, and it's really not cutting it. Just to stay in the VPD ranges that we want, we don't want these things to be drying back, because as soon as we start getting too hot of a room and too dry of a environment, then they're going to start perspiring a lot, and it's really going to affect the waterings and the exact amount of drybacks that we're going to be having. I do not have a moisture meter, so I do not have the ability to check exactly where these rock wools are sitting at as far as the percentage of water that they are going through drybacks. So like I said, I'm making the smaller room for everybody that is growing on a smaller scale, just to show that it is possible and you can get great results with great yields and great quality coming out of something small like this. There's 64 plants in here, and I literally just come through and pick up about 1 or 2 during the day during their lights on cycles. I run my lights at night, so sometimes I gotta stay up a little late to try and see exactly how light they feel as opposed to when they're at full field capacity. Regardless, it's a little bit of a challenge doing it without a moisture meter, to try to keep an eye on that and keep an eye on the EC that's in the rock pool. Makes it even harder if we're also having to deal with the environmental stresses of having low humidity and high temperatures, or vice versa, whatever it is. The better you can stay in the range of VPD during the time of growth that you want, the better success that you're going to have, and the easier and more consistent that you're going to be able to stay with your waterings. And everything that you log in should be able to transfer over onto your next grow, give or take genetics. You know, some things might like more, some things might like less. Everybody knows that. But as far as keeping your VPD in that general range, you're going to have great success with that. So ordered the humidifier. dehumidifiers has been, it's in here now, but it literally is not being used whatsoever. Waterings, okay, before we jump on the waterings, I'll talk about the rest of the environment. So, like I said, 81 degrees, so we go down 1 degree every week, and we kind of keep the VPD where it needs to be in conjunction with whatever the temperature is that week. So, with the higher temperatures that we are running, we do run CO2. Now, I just bumped the CO2 up to 1100. Just turned it on because the day just started, so just getting up above the dead zone right now, and it will stop at about 200 over and then turn back on when it goes 200 below. That's kind of what this 400 dead zone is about. Anybody that's running CO2, but for those of you that aren't, now you know. So with that being said, I don't have a fully sealed room in here. I don't think any of my facilities have a fully sealed room. That's one, because it's practically impossible, and two, I mean, I kind of like fresh oxygen being able to circulate in and out of here as much as possible. So it's not that this room is completely open, but I don't have it sealed. So there's a lot of gaps and stuff like that, and overnight the CO2 does leak. So those of you guys that are running a tent or running something smaller that are kind of on the fence about getting CO2, I'm telling you, it's going to help you guys out tremendously. Just go ahead and give it a go, but I'm not going to hold you to it if you don't. But it is a huge benefit, and it's going to help you, especially if you guys are running tents at high temperatures, in a garage, in somewhere where you can't really keep the temperature as low as you'd like, and your humidity is kind of up a little higher. Supplementing with CO2 is really going to help these plants be able to process the nutrients that you're giving them. Yeah, other than that, you're going to be giving them nutrients that they're not even going to be able to use, because their stomata is going to be so closed up, and they're not going to be transpiring, and they're not going to be doing near what they could be doing with CO2 supplementation. Now, if you're able to keep your temperatures in check, you're probably going to have better luck. But if not, I do suggest getting some CO2. It is a couple $100 investment, but it's a lifetime investment, and for every run, you're probably going to be going through anywhere to $45 to $65 in CO2 as far as refilling your tanks and stuff like that, which again is a pain in the ass, but for me, worth it in the end. Lights, 645 Lux LED Pros, everybody knows, but we are running them at 100%. In the past, I've ran them at 80% at this stage, and then bumped them up to 100% going into week 2. But we've had them at 100% since the beginning of this run, and they're just doing fantastic. PPFD down here is probably about like 600-700, and when we're around here, we're at about 800-900. So it's perfect. It's exactly what we need. So as these plants grow up, they're going to get more PPFD that they require. Also, having them on 100% is also going to keep the stretch down, which the Skywalker is desperately going to need. So besides that, we are going to talk about waterings. I suppose that's kind of it for the environment. We got 4-fan there, keeping all that cold air from under the table circulating in this room, and really helping the temperature maintain all the way through the canopy, through all the foliage and everything like that. Also, we have the 4 oscillating fans up on top. Talked about those in the past. Always a good idea to keep those going. And carbon filter fan will get installed probably the next couple days. I don't have it running right now because obviously we don't have any flowers going, and it's in the dry room. So I'll move it over here as soon as that time comes. And then we did get we'll talk about that next time. I don't want to get into that. Waterings. Let's talk about waterings. So for the first week, it took a little bit of tampering to mess with my waterings. I had them going off for 10 seconds for the first 3 waterings of the day. They were probably pumping out about like 100 mils per watering, and my drybacks weren't happening as much as I'd like. So what I did was reduce that down to just 2 waterings early in the day, and then we stopped the waterings about 3.5 hours before lights out. So lights turn on at about 7:30 p.m. Our first watering is at about 10:30 p.m. and then the next watering was at 12, and then at 2, and then at 4. So what I did is I removed the 12 o'clock watering and just put the 2 o'clock and the 4 o'clock watering, and waited until I came in and I felt that they had a nice dry back from that, which was about the 3rd day of flower. And then the 3rd day of flower hit, I came in and I re-put the 12 o'clock watering and kept, so I kept 10:30, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock. The 4 o'clock, I went from 100 mils to 150 mils, right? And that was for the last 4 days we've had that, and that's been working fantastic. So now, sometime during this week, I was probably going to do it today, I'm going to turn up the 3rd watering. So the 2 o'clock watering, I'm going to turn up to 150 mils as well. So I'm going to have 2 100 milliliter shots, and then I'm going to have 2 150 milliliter shots, and still stop 3 hours, almost 3 hours, yeah, about 3 hours before lights out. So 3.5 hours before lights out. And those dry backs are giving me pretty good results so far. And then next week we'll make some more adjustments to that and see where we're at as far as week 3 goes. But next week is going to be the defoliation, so we'll talk more about that when that day comes. But today, what I am going to do is go ahead and defoliate a lot of these big leaves here. You can see what the canopy looks like. You see how there's just really not...
Alright guys, sorry about that. Battery kind of died there. I had to charge the phone. It's the next morning. Lights are about to shut off in about an hour. A little congested, just woke up, but wanted to come in here and make a quick video. I was going to defoliate last night, but I wanted to save it for you guys just to make sure that I can kind of explain to you exactly what's going on here. But as I was saying, this canopy is quite dense, and we're going to clear some of this out right now just to let some of these inners grow up. And so nothing too crazy. We're just going to come into the center of these plants like this, and just come in and remove some of these inner leaves here, these big guys, and allow, so you can see how the underlighting is starting to shine through a little bit there. And we're just going to allow some of these smaller nodes in here to get a chance to grow up a little bit. So come through, clear these out in here. And that's it, pretty simple, nothing too crazy, you know. A handful of leaves per plant, or that's for 2 plants. So what I'll do is I'll come in today, the lights turn back on. Like I said, lights are about to shut off right now, so I'm gonna get a little bit done until it's time to go in to work and get started with the day over there. But also, I didn't talk about the underlighting. I think the last video that I made, we didn't have the underlighting on, and I said I was going to turn it on. I turned it on probably about like day 4 of flower, just to let it come through so you can see the small underlights that are under there. And again, not very much light. It's a couple 100 watts per light, and it doesn't add a huge benefit, but for me it added enough to go ahead and run them again. It can't hurt. They're LEDs, they don't use too much electricity, and like I said, they gave me probably about a 20 that's a lot, probably like a 10 to 15% yield increase. You know, as far as per light, I probably yielded about 80 grams more per light, so almost a whole another pound if you take that into consideration and do the math on that. But on these plants, like I said, week 1, come through, give them a little defoliation. And what I'm going to do this run, which I normally don't do, is I'm gonna do my lollipop and hard defoliation on day 14. So usually I come through, I let them do their thing and just kind of pick little leaves here and there through the first 2 weeks, and just to allow growth of the inner canopy to come through, kind of what I just did now. But I'm going to do that, and instead of just doing that and waiting until day 21 to do my full lollipop, what I'm going to do is a day 14 lollipop and really aggressively defoliate them then. Let them grow all the way through from day 14 all the way to day 30. Day 28, the end of week 4, probably most likely, is when I'll come through and I'll give them their second strip. So in the past, what I've done is what I said. So first 2 weeks, we pick out a couple leaves. Day 21 comes through, we give them their first lollipop, really harsh defoliation, and then let them grow all the way till day 42. Come through day 42 and give them their final strip of all the fan leaves in order to get all of the buds the proper lighting. So what I did at my other facility is I did a day 21 mini lollipop, just a lollipop, not really a defoliation, didn't take too many large leaves off, and then came through on day 30 and did a strip on all those. We're now about day 35 in that room, and everything's looking great over there. And I really noticed that during that transition from day 21 to day 30, they really had a chance to really put on bulk, start bulking up pretty nicely, instead of spending that week recovering and stretching and putting out new leaves in order to absorb the light and really get their photosynthesis going. And that's just after doing a little bit of research on plant growth and hormones and auxins during that time, to really make sure that they have their focus on putting on buds instead of healing from all the damage that I did. So with this run, what I'm going to do is, I've done day 14 strips in the past, but never really to the extent of fixing the timing. It was more of a day 14 strip, and then come through day 21, clean them up a little bit, and then just let them finish. I didn't even used to do a day 42 strip with that method. But now, just doing a little bit more research on exactly all the hormones and auxins that are going on in these plants during their different cycles, what I'm doing is hopefully allowing them to really focus on bulking during the proper times, while also not sacrificing light penetration into the canopy, and actually getting some generative growth and flowers coming out during the correct time. So hopefully this works. It's a new method. I'm trying it out. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys posted on it. I'll come through next week. I might make another video middle of the week this week, just to give you guys a little update on how this canopy is going to look after I clean it out. If not, I'll make a short, something like that, something simple. But anyway, just wanted to come in, finish making this video. Questions, comments, leave them down below. I know this is a long one, but had quite a bit of stuff to talk about, and hopefully you guys get some information out of it. That's the whole point of these videos, guys, is, just to share the knowledge and hopefully help somebody running a smaller garden that is manageable. I understand a lot of you guys aren't going to be able to run these many plants, but this is a tiny room. This room is very small. It's probably 16 by 10. Yeah, about 16 by 10. These tables are 12 feet long and 4 feet wide, and you can see how tight the spaces are between the tables. So that's pretty small. It's like 2 4x8 tents running right next to each other, 4x12 tents, So hopefully it helps somebody out there. But anyway, don't want to get on another tangent. Happy farming. Thanks for tuning in. As always, like to subscribe if you can, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.